I know, right?
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Uncle Phil's podcast, Take 3. My name is Uncle Phil, and on the phone we have John Siccione from Long Island. Say hi, John.
How you doing?
And in the room right now we have Anthony Cittadini. Say hello, Anthony.
Hey, Phil.
I mean, come on. He's so worried about this camera. It's driving me insane. All right. Anyway, what we want to do today is
Wait, let's start all over.
No, we're not doing that. We've been having issues with the technology again, guys. Sorry. And we're good now. We're good. So basically what we're going to do right now is talk about the baseball strike. And I am kind of torn on this. I understand the players want to get more piece of the pie. And I understand that the owners, they kind of negotiate in bad faith the way they do it, where they lock the players out and then they wait 6 weeks before they bring them to the negotiation table. That's kind of messed up, right? I think everybody here agrees. Am I right?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you have a few seconds, I'll tell you how I would negotiate, even though I'm not an expert at labor negotiations, nor have I taken a course in it, but this might not be the right way to do it according to the book. But what I would do if I was the owners, rather than do a lockout as of 12/1 with no intention to do any kind of negotiation for the next 6 weeks, I would have gone to the Players Association and said to them, listen, we could lock you out, but in good faith, we're not doing that. But I will tell you this, if we don't get a deal on the table by the time it's time to start exhibition games, you know what? Then we're going to shut everything down. So let's negotiate in good faith for the next 2 months
Well, that's
and
basically
get
what
this
they
done,
did.
so we don't have any interruption
Yeah.
and we don't upset fans.
Well, the problem with that, John, is I think what they try to do is get out early and lock them out when it wasn't going to affect the baseball itself. The problem is they waited 6 weeks to bring them to the table. To me, that's an
Well,
issue.
what was the point, Phil? If they were going to wait 6 weeks, why not just go ahead and negotiate during that period of time?
Well, they
and
should have.
give them a
What happens with spring
Time-
training? Stops.
Right now, spring training is off, right?
Done. So they can't even work out on their own and do nothing.
Well, they can't work out as a team. They can work out on their own, but not as a team. You got to talk into the microphone. So the thing is this: the owners. I'm a big believer. The owners have everything at risk. It's their money. They're the ones that are basically putting everything they own on risk. The players don't, right? The
Hey,
players.
Phil,
But they're at fault too because they're the ones who contribute to these crazy contracts.
Well, absolutely. But
And Phil, what's at risk, especially when there's a lot of municipalities put up the money for the new stadiums?
I mean, they're on the payroll, aren't they? It's their money. If people don't come, they lose money out of their own personal pocket, don't they?
That's the only way. Most of these guys are millionaires or billionaires, though.
All right, but there's still nobody wants to lose money.
Well, they don't get paid. If they don't play, they don't get paid, right? Their contract is stopped.
If during the lockout, they don't get paid, right? Once the games start. Right now, it doesn't matter. They're not getting paid for spring training. But once you got to go into the microphone. But once it starts, that's why they're locking them out. And they said there's no games in the first 2 series because that's going to affect the players. But the players, they're like, I don't care what you say. When we come to an agreement, you're going to give me the back pay. Otherwise, we're not coming back to work. So it's just messy. This has been messy since the 70s.
Is that what they did though? That's what they told them.
Yeah, they
If
told
we
me
don't
that.
start on time, are you going to give us a retro check?
Yeah,
Really?
basically, yeah. So, but my thing is, John, it is the owner's money at risk. They the ones that lose money, not the players. If the players get hurt after year one, like they got these ridiculous contracts, $340 million, it's stupid. So now, year one of a 10-year contract, I get hurt, I get my money. It don't matter. You know, in football, right? If a guy gets hurt, he gets cut, he don't get paid. He just gets the bonus money. So the players really got some nerve, in my opinion, to be.
What's that say about the NFL's Players Association?
Especially when that's so dangerous, right? The average running back lasts 4 years.
The wear and tear on your body as a football player is much greater than a baseball player.
I mean, they play a lot less games, but I believe that's true.
Right, yeah.
But so anyway, like I said, somebody on Facebook got on this stupid group that I'm in, MLB Rumors. They got on my case because I wrote about this, and they're pro player, and they were like, "Do you know what the physical gruelingness of a 162 game season is, and the traveling?" Yeah, but
Shut the fuck up already.
I mean, their contract's guaranteed. Football's not. So, in my opinion, there's no reason for a lockout. The players should be signing this contract. The owners they caved in a lot of issues, and I don't have it in front of me, but I'm going to tell you from my memory. One was if you sign a free agent, you used to get a draft pick, right? I think they got rid of the draft picks, right? That's a big deal.
Right.
That's a big deal. They raised the minimum salary to $700,000, right?
Sorry, what's the point of the
Players
drafting?
want $725.
All right, give me a break. $700,000 for the scrubbiest of scrubs.
So what happens with the draft, though?
What happens with the draft?
You said that they do away with it?
No, you don't get a draft pick when you lose a free agent. You don't get a draft pick from
Oh,
the
I gotcha.
team
Right.
that signed them. That's how it used to work. There's the minor leagues got raises. The major leagues got raises. There's a pool of money that they set up that got bumped up. The biggest issue is the CBT tax, which is basically works as a salary cap, right? There's a ceiling above that, they pay a tax.
Right.
And these guys don't want to pay the tax, right?
By the way, there's two other issues that
You mean
the owners gave
the
in.
owners don't want to pay the tax?
right. Well, what other issues you got, John?
The owners gave in to the universal DH that they'll put it into the National League now, which
Yep.
the players have been for. And the players also agreed to go into 12-team playoffs as opposed to what is it currently? It's 10? If you count the wild cards?
I think it's 8, isn't it?
No, it's what you have is you've got if you count the wild card game, there's 10,
Okay. Well, but John,
right? Because you got wild cards in each
Right, you got
league.
8, and then you get the wild card.
yeah. Well, my issue with that is that's not making the game better.
No. What it does is it puts the owners in a better. I think it makes it worse, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
But
the owners want 14 teams. That's like half the teams almost.
it puts the owners in a position to get a better TV contract with more playoffs.
Right.
Plus, it obviously it gets more revenue in the door because you're going to have playoff teams that are going to be drawing capacity crowds probably.
I get it. I understand why they're doing it, and the players gave in to that, right? Because the players didn't want that. But once again, there's no reason for this lockout anymore. The players should be coming to terms. So the CBT tax, the owners gave $220 for the first 3 years, going up to $238 million, I believe. The players want to start at $236, I believe.
Yeah, I think the owners the owners start at $220 for the first 3 years and eventually go up in 5 years to $230. The players want to start at $238 and go up to $263.5, I think.
Okay. So the players are saying, well, but by doing that, you have a salary cap and we're not getting the money. You know what? They're not thinking about the smaller time players. They're thinking about the big time players. They get their money no matter what, right? It's going to leave less room for, well, that's not true. They're trying to make more room for those other players, I guess. But the fact is, the spending's outrageous. But I have a problem with the owners too, because they lock the players out saying they have no money. But the last year, I believe there was 5 $340 million contracts, and the Mets, they what they do? They got Lindor. Mm-hmm. They signed Scherzer, 38-year-old.
Well, that was this past year,
right?
But
right before the lockout, right?
Right before that, they had Lindor, and there was somebody else.
Well, no, Scherzer, and then DeGrom's going to ask for renegotiate his contract. He's going to get $40 million a year. It's just insane. The number to play is insane.
This is just
So you're
last
making
year,
an
right?
assumption that he's going to get through the year healthy and be able to.
That's what I was just going to say. He'll be hurt by the All-Star break.
Well,
So there goes his
I mean, he
contract.
hasn't shown that until last year. So I know you guys like to criticize me because I like DeGrom, but
I'm not criticizing. Well, I'm just making a statement in that if you look at DeGrom's history over the last couple of years, he's consistently had arm problems. So
No,
if
no,
he only,
no,
if
not
he only
true.
goes out there
not
in a
true.
full season, if he goes out there and has 25 starts instead of 30, 32, what are you going to do? He's going to opt out?
John, last year was the only time that he had arm issues.
I agree
No, that's
with
not
John.
true.
I agree.
No,
with
he
you.
missed a start here and there, not where he missed chunks of the season.
But why does he miss the starts? Because his arm bothers him.
No,
He was out.
I think it could be anything.
He was on the DL in May of last year.
Last year was a bad year. He was out 2-3 times, and I get it. Last year was a bad year. But to sit there, like, not you really, John, you criticize him a little bit, but Anthony and my other friend Paul, they criticize this guy. He's the best pitcher in baseball. Without him, it's bad news for the Mets because their starting rotation is a bunch of question marks. Even Scherzer is a question mark in my
He
mind.
comes out of the game in the 5th and the 6th inning, and then
It's
you got
the way
no
baseball is. That's the way it is. I'm not going to get into that again. You guys were wrong. I proved you wrong. I came in with my statistics. I shot you down the last time. It's the way it is.
How many games has he started that he came out and then middle relief or even the closer blew it on him?
Tons. But again, that's the way
But that's
baseball
because
is.
he doesn't. If he pitched until the 7th and 8th inning like it used to be,
I know you
not
asked
the
me,
8th, but the 7th.
I know you asked me not to make fun of you, but I can't help it if you want to keep saying these dumb things, okay?
It's not dumb. That's the way it used
This
to be.
is the way baseball is played. You can't change that on DeGrom. It's all of baseball, not DeGrom. It's all baseball. I gave you the statistics. His starts compared to Scherzer is like 2/3 of an inning. It's like not that much difference. It doesn't make sense. It's baseball. That's it.
And they have the same amount of games pitched.
Yeah, it's not that. It's not the problem. Baseball is a problem. They're doing this some little league on the way up. That's the way it is. It's nothing to do with DeGrom, unfortunately.
Might change with the new Showalter now.
I don't
He's
think
an
he
old
changed.
school. He's
I
an
don't
old
think
school
so.
coach. You don't think so?
No. What do you think, John? You think it was change?
A little bit.
What's going to change?
Showalter, you think he'll leave his pitchers in longer?
No.
No.
It's not in the near future. This is pretty much set in cement right now. These guys are stubborn. Until they start getting guys, listen, you got to realize, if you go back 15, 20 years ago, nobody was throwing 100 miles an hour with the exception of maybe a Nolan Ryan, and that goes back further than that. Now everybody's throwing close to 100. They're destroying their arms. They throw as hard as they can for a short period of time. They don't save themselves to pitch 7 or 8 or 9 innings.
They're throwing 100 miles an hour in spring training.
Stupid.
Ridiculous, right?
Yeah, I understand. I have
human
no
body
problem with them
can't-
learning how to pitch.
Give me that. Nice.
Yeah. So I don't think Showalter makes any difference, to be honest with you. I know he's old school, but it's not going to make a difference.
Well, you know what? Let's get back to the
He
basics
might not be a
of
big
this.
analytics guy, though.
Let's get back to the basics of this labor agreement, right?
Yes.
First of all, if you're the owners, why would you do a lockout as of 12? It was actually, I guess, December 2nd, and then don't even give a proposal for 6 weeks.
Stupid. I think
All right, now
that's some type of labor negotiation that you wait to the last minute. To me, it's dumb.
That's my point. My point is, you know what? Maybe it's time to rethink the way to negotiate these things. Now,
Yeah.
I know it'll probably come down to the 11th hour anyway, but I think you have a better shot at not having a work stoppage.
True. The other thing that the owners caved in is the what on the draft, the slots, right? They made a lottery now. So let's say you don't dump, right? You're one of the worst teams in the league. You don't want to dump because you used to want to try and get the number 1 draft pick. Now it doesn't matter. You're going to go into a lottery. Truthfully, in baseball, it's a crapshoot no matter what. I don't really think that matters that much. It's not like football where you get the number 1 pick and it really matters, in basketball, right? This is not like that.
So the whole league, that's the way they're doing it? A lottery?
Yeah, you go into lottery if you're top 4, 5 teams, whatever. They're negotiating that number. It'd be 3 to 5, whatever it is. and they're gonna have a lottery, and then they're gonna try and make some money by putting on baseball on ESPN. We're gonna do the lottery live. It's all money making scheme from everybody.
But teams can still they can still take their pick and switch it out with another team if they want, right?
I guess they can trade now draft picks if they do this, right, John?
You know what? I'm not sure.
Like if a team draws a lottery number that's lower than another team, and the other team, like, listen,
I guess if you
I'll
have a
buy
lottery,
that,
you can trade
that ticket from you.
Yeah, I guess you could trade that lottery pick then.
You know, what you're discussing though is missing the big point, the big overall point about the status of baseball in America today.
You okay?
And the bottom line is, the game is not attractive to watch. It's not attracting a lot of. As you go, you take the baby boomers and start going to the next generations, the Generation X's, the Generation Y's, each generation, each subsequent generation below the baby boomers is losing interest in this sport. It's being overcome. We know that football took over as the national pastime in the mid to late 60s from baseball, even though baseball had that position for 60-something years, from the first World Series in 1903 to the 60s. But now it's being threatened by being taken over by basketball, even the NBA. And that would have been never thought of if you go back 30 years ago.
I mean, let's face it, John. Baseball is boring.
They're playing a boring game. They're playing it by the analytics book, which makes it more boring. It's now, instead of 2.5-hour games, it's 3.5-hour games. The kids don't get to watch the World Series at night because they have to go to bed. The games go till midnight on the East Coast. It's losing its fan base, and they better wake up.
Yeah,
well,
I agree.
That's because they treat it like chess now.
Yeah.
Which is, they sort of did, but not to the extent that they do now.
Wasn't that Spark Anderson that did that, right? Back in the 70s where he was Captain Hook. He kept taking his pitches out. Then
but still, the game still only lasted about 2.5 hours on average.
It's a strategy still, but it's just ridiculous with the.
It's more than that, though. It's in between pitches. They're gonna fix their batting gloves.
It's not only that. The theory behind analytics is to take as many pitches as possible. So you got guys going up there with 12, 14 pitches at times.
Right.
Because they just fouling the ball off until they get a walk.
Right. Which I kind of get that, though, because I mean I kind of get that, but it does make it boring, and also the pitches take longer in between pitches. I watched a thing on ESPN. It used to take between 12 and 14 or 15 seconds between pitches.
Like 4 minutes.
What?
It's like 4 minutes now.
Well, now it's like ridiculous how long they take between pitches.
And by the way, Sparky Anderson started it, but the guy who really ruined it was Tony La Russa.
Tony La Russa, right? With the lefty righties?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's a shame. And now these guys, for them to get paid, they've got to be successful. And those lefty guys getting the lefties out, that's how they get paid, right?
It depends. I mean, I've seen statistics that show they're bringing in a left-handed pitcher who gets more lefties out. I mean, more righties out than lefties, and it doesn't matter. They still go with the theory that he's going to be more effective.
Yeah, it's just stupid. That's what I'm saying. You got to use your gut when you're managing. That's the bottom line.
I hate the analytics. Hate it.
Well, some of them are good, but some of them are stupid.
If you have you read about why they think Michael Conforto had such a horrible year last year?
Yeah, because he sucks.
No, he doesn't suck.
I hate that guy.
All right, whatever. Well, let me hear John why, because I want to hear if it makes sense.
They claim that they were filling his head with so much information. It wasn't just him. A lot of the Met players were getting filled with so much information, and a little bit of information is good. But when you confuse the guy, when he goes up there, How many times did you see the Mets take a called third strike and not swing at a pitch because they're thinking too much?
Yeah, see, Michael Conforto came up. He hit the other way with power. He was able to walk. He did everything good, right? It wasn't that he was a great player. He did everything good, and the promise was there that he could be a great player. He has not fulfilled that.
He just never developed.
Right? So
there's actually a theory that he could benefit if he was to come back to the Mets and have Eric Chavez as his batting coach, because he won't fill his head with all this analytic information about what you got to look for here, what you got to look for there. It's a little information is good. Too much information confuses the batter.
Yeah, you can't go in that at bat with all this shit on your head.
No, you want to just up there, see the ball, hit the ball. That's the bottom line.
Right.
See the ball.
So they're
hit
actually talking about the idea of Conforto coming back to the Mets isn't completely dead at this point.
Of course not. And you know what? I think it'd be best thing for him and for the Mets, because I still think he's young enough to be a really good player. But we'll see.
So what are you saying? It's good if he came back to the Mets or if he goes elsewhere?
No, I for as a Met fan, I want him to come back.
I say dump him.
All right. Well, you got to replace him.
Yeah, but you're worried about.
You got to replace
You're worried
him.
about money.
No, you got to replace him.
Right.
He's not going to get that paid that much.
Listen,
because
there's kids in the minors that you could draft up that are better than him.
Wow, you're really clueless.
I'm not.
I'm
clueless.
sorry, you're clueless.
I hate the guy.
You're really
How many
clueless.
times I watched that guy come up and just dump? He sucks.
It's, as Paul said, 28 home runs, 90 RBIs. I'm sorry, that as a career average, that's pretty good. Right. Sorry. You got to replace that. You're going to replace it with people you don't know how it's going to go. And plus, he got better defensively.
His biggest problem at this point is that Scott Boras is his agent.
Absolutely. I hate that man. If he got hit by a bus, I wouldn't care.
Oh, that's not nice.
It's not nice. It's not nice. But that's him.
No.
I hate the man. He doesn't. I heard that this baseball lockout was almost solved.
Listen,
and he put his 2 cents in and it threw everything off.
But that's his job. His job is to be an asshole.
Yeah, I don't like agents. I don't like the union. I don't like any of that stuff. I get it. The Major League Baseball owners could be ridiculous, right? I get it. You need to have a balance. But what's going on? Another labor strike? This is just stupid. A labor stoppage. Anyway, John, I heard you had another topic you wanted to bring up.
Yeah, I was wondering, did you see this article that was kind of buried in the newspaper? I don't even know if it made it to the internet, about this minor leaguer who was drafted by the Boston Red Sox in 2017. He was drafted in the 3rd round, and they just released him because he's a self-identified racist. Did you see that?
I did not see that.
His name is Brad Netzer. And while I'll say that some of the stuff that he tweeted out, or I guess it was all tweets pretty much, because I don't think anything was something that was in an interview or anything. He's 25 years old, and apparently he's insulted the Black Americans, LGBTQ community, and the Jewish population. So he's gone for the trifecta.
I haven't seen the story, John, but I got to be honest with you. If this is true, right now, sometimes Twitter puts things out there of their opinion of what you said. But if this is true, you can't be on the team because you got to mesh with these people. You got to mesh with them.
Listen, now they have a quote that supposedly he tweeted. There's quotation marks around it that says, "I am a racist. I do sometimes make assumptions based on another person's race, ethnicity, or culture. Glad this is out of the way." Now,
John, how do you go into the locker room, John, with these other players from other nationalities if you said that? I mean, it's a problem.
How's an owner keeping him around?
First of all, I'm not defending or condemning him at this point. I'm just bringing the article to your attention. I mean, I guess you can make the same case that if he's so offensive to people, he shouldn't play. And I guess the same thing could be said for Colin Kaepernick. He offended Americans, and nobody wants to hire him.
If Colin Kaepernick was playing at a higher level, I'm sure somebody would have took a shot at him. But it wasn't worth, this is my opinion, the owners felt that it wasn't worth the feedback they were going to get. That's my opinion. Right? But
I'm gonna give
let's
you a
say,
little
wait. Let's say he was Aaron Rodgers, right? They probably would have signed him. Right?
Okay.
Because
No.
the difference in the play is huge. Or
Okay,
if it was
let me
Colin Kaepernick the year that he went to the Super Bowl, I think they would have signed him.
Well, they condemned
So let
him.
me ask you this question. Suppose all the things that I've just read to you about this Red Sox minor leaguer were attributed to Aaron Rodgers. Would he be out of the NFL?
It'd be very difficult, yeah. How do you go into the locker room with these people and after you talk stuff about them? And you know what? It's a tough situation because you're supposed to, in America, have an opinion, but you can't do your job well if you say that kind of stuff where you rely on each other on the field.
I'll give you two other things that they claim. One of them is not in quotes. It just says that he attacked, obviously not physically. I'm just trying to see who the guy he attacked. His name is he's a Red Sox executive. His name is Chaim Bloom. So I assume that he's of the Jewish faith.
Yes, and he was very highly regarded.
Okay, and what this guy wrote was Chaim Bloom is a hypocrite and an embarrassment to any Torah-following Jew. He wrote. He also attacked Bloom for supporting Black Lives Matter and LGBT initiatives in another tweet. And here's the topper, though. He wrote that, and this isn't, well, the beginning is not in quotes. He also wrote that black people should, now they write the quote part, that they should go back to their roots and start to reestablish their true black culture. And in another one, he called closeted transgender people rapists.
John, this guy. I'm sorry, John. This guy can't be. I can't be part of the baseball fraternity.
He's got some shit on.
He's got issues.
Yeah, I guess he does. It says now it seems that he will never return to a professional baseball field.
And you know what? Thank goodness, because I'm sorry, you can't be on a team. You just can't be on a team with other people.
Yeah, if you can't get the support of your fellow players, then. But it's an interesting thing though, because they're making a big deal out of the things that Kurt Schilling is saying today.
Yeah, I mean, everything I've read about what Kurt Schilling said is not as bad as this, but maybe I missed something.
No, I agree with you. I haven't read anything that Kurt Schilling has said or written that is like this. But you know what? If you go back to the days of Daniel Murphy being on the Mets, he said he didn't know if he would feel comfortable with a gay teammate. Remember that?
I do not remember that. No.
Who was the teammate?
No, he just made it in general.
Oh,
because they're taking showers and stuff. I again, that doesn't bother me. If a person I'm playing ball with is gay, it doesn't bother me at all.
Right.
But
we're talking about Daniel Murphy. Would you have dropped Daniel Murphy?
I think he's going to have to take some training for that one.
Okay.
Right? Because again, if there's somebody gay in your clubhouse and you've said that, you've basically said I can't be on the team with him.
Well, there was some further stuff that he said. I believe what he said, and I'm going to paraphrase what I remember him saying was, he says, you know, I'm a Christian man, and I am deeply religious, and what I would like to do is if I did have a gay teammate, I'd like to sit down and talk to him personally about the situation and work something out between us so that he does. I guess to make the guy feel more comfortable after the things that he has said.
All right, because that sounded like an adult. The other one doesn't sound like an adult, but
Right. Oh yeah. No, this guy sounds a little bit.
no, this guy's got to go, John. This guy can't be in baseball. I'm sorry.
Would you
Well,
if he was working in insurance with you, would you fire him?
I think he might get fired, John. I
in
think
today's world.
yeah, I
definitely.
think you go through all these training classes. I think that's a fireable offense.
Yeah.
I mean, again, supposedly you're allowed to say what you want, but how do you work in an environment if you said that? I mean, that's the problem, right?
Well, you really can't say what you want anymore.
But you're supposed to in America be able to say what you want.
You're supposed to, but not in today's world.
But my point is, how do you then work in an environment with other people if you said negative things about them? To me, that's an issue. If I own a company, I'm sorry, you can't be there because you've insulted half the people.
Right, you created a hostile work environment.
Right.
What would you say that if somebody who is in the minority says something about someone who's in the or makes a general statement about somebody in the majority, a white male, say, and it's a negative statement, would that minority person get fired?
In my opinion, it should go both ways. It should go, if anybody says something to create a bad environment in the workplace, that's a problem. Maybe first you go through training. If
I agree with
right?
you, but do you think it would be treated the same way as what this guy is saying or what Daniel Murphy said?
Well, these two guys just have phobias. They got issues.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
Yeah,
I don't know, John. It's a tough one because I don't know.
No, I mean, it's obvious this guy went to the ultimate and to offend people, it seems.
Yeah. So, anyway, that's a interesting topic you brought up, John. I appreciate it. We always like to talk about real issues in the world, and especially in
There's
sports.
nothing like making everybody feel uncomfortable about a subject.
Right. You do a good job with that, if I remember correctly. The Aeon guys used to say that all the time.
what's Kaepernick's status these days after he?
Well, he got a tryout, and then he came with some type of T-shirt on. I don't know. Something happened in the tryout. He walked out. I don't know.
Oh yes, I heard that.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with him, but again,
But he
I don't
also
think
got
the
a
owners
very
think
big
he's good
settlement
enough.
from the NFL, didn't he?
He's definitely he's way too much for what he's going to give you.
Well, that's what I think the owners feel, right? The owners feel like it's not worth the aggravation.
Right.
But
Couldn't he get a multi-million dollar settlement?
I'm sure he did. And he also got a Nike commercial. But if you grew up wanting to play football and now you can't play football,
Well, that's his own fault.
so
Should have kept his mouth shut.
yeah.
You got a place to voice your opinion, not while you're at work.
I actually didn't have a problem with his first kneeling because if he felt that's the way he felt, I had no problem with that. We are allowed to protest. But once your boss tells you not to do it again, then you got to stop because now you're going against what the boss said.
He still did it.
Right? Yeah. So what he should have done is then take that outside because he has a topic he wants addressed. You should do it, right? You feel strongly about it. In this country, you should be allowed to do that. But not on the field of play when your boss is telling you not to.
He did it because he knew it was going to be on TV and whatever.
And you know what? He got the publicity. Stop. You're told not to do it. Stop. Let's move on. Do it outside. Get a press conference, right? Do a promotional event. Do it there. I have no problem doing it.
Go protest something else.
No,
Well,
I don't care if you're protesting that. Do it somewhere else.
Right.
After your boss tells you not to do it.
Well, he shouldn't have did it
All
at
right,
work
but wait
in
a
the first
second,
place.
Phil. If you're doing it outside of the workplace, you're still doing it. You're still like this guy.
John, you can't
we
tell me
all
what to
agree
do
it's
outside of work. I'm sorry. You cannot tell me not to do that outside of work. If I feel strongly about that, I should be allowed to protest peacefully anywhere in the country.
But that doesn't that defeat what you just said, though?
No, it doesn't.
Before, which if you're saying something that some people are going to be finding offensive, who are your teammates, and you can't be on that team,
Well,
what difference does it make
What did
where
he
you
do?
say it?
No. You cannot compare the two. Do not go there. What?
I'm asking.
No, you cannot compare the two. I'm sorry. One is actually
Why?
racist comments. The other one is making comments about the racial situation in the country, but it's not making racial comments. I have no problem with a protest, and I had no problem again with his first kneel. My problem is when I can't go to work and protest. I'll get fired. You can't do that.
No, I agree.
That's all I'm saying. I have no problem with his protest. Do it outside of work.
I agree.
So, and you've been a little quiet. I want you to come up with something you want to say.
No, I'm just enjoying you.
All right.
This is one of those topics that you really don't want to touch upon because somebody's going to get offended by it.
Listen, I get it. Somebody does. Everybody gets offended over anything. So in this world. But I don't think anybody said anything here that's crazy. I think it's an opinion, and that's that.
I just found it to be an interesting article that kind of got buried. I mean, obviously, it's not affecting anybody who's a prominent player. If this was Jacob deGrom who said these things, I'm sure it would be front page news.
And it'd be a major problem for the clubhouse. So.
Oh yeah. Now, what would you do if it was Jacob deGrom? Cancel his contract or pay off his contract?
Fire him.
I don't know
trade
if
him.
there's a clause in his contract that says you can't do things like this.
I guess
Personally, I think what would happen then is he would have to go to training,
He would have to.
sensitivity training,
right, because what makes a
because you can't be in a clubhouse, once again, saying things about half the population in your clubhouse and maybe 3/4 of the population in your clubhouse and expect to be welcome in the clubhouse, right? I mean, that's the bottom line.
And as general manager of the team, if he says, I'm not going to training, what do you do then?
I'm sorry, you're suspended.
Suspended without pay?
Yeah?
It would be interesting to see what the union would do in that case.
You know what? Union's got to back the owners on that one, I think, because again, what's the membership?
No, I understand, but I think it would be putting them in a very awkward position either way.
Well, let's hopefully that nobody of any consequence is feeling this way.
Did you see what Paul just sent?
No.
Paul sent a photo of let me see who it is. Bud Harrelson.
Yeah.
And it said this guy wouldn't make the majors today, but he was great in the 70s.
Wait, I didn't hear that. He wouldn't make the majors if what?
Bud Harrelson, the picture says if this guy wouldn't make the team today, but was great in the 70s. I don't think he'd be a starter. I think he'd make the majors.
You know what? I mean, you said Bud Harrelson, right?
Yes.
I mean, the guy did a couple of things on the field that he was the best at. Well, at least one thing, which was going back on pop flies. I never saw a shortstop catch pop flies the way he did in the outfield.
I know someone who has
So
trouble
I
with
just
those.
got to say, Joey DeMorio's got to take some lessons from Bud Harrelson.
Oh my God! You shouldn't have said that. You had to go there, didn't you? You had to go there.
Yeah.
Bud Harrelson made the team because he was a terrific defensive shortstop, not because he was a great hitter.
Yeah, but he knew how to bunt. He knew how to steal, hit and run. He did all those things really well.
Right.
But that is a true statement, though. Today, they don't really – it's too much on offense. I don't know if he'd be a starter. So
Different game.
yeah. I want to leave this right now with one quick topic, real quick. Who do you think should make the Hall of Fame that's not in the Hall of Fame right now?
Pete Rose.
So, once again, we already talked about Pete Rose. Can you pick somebody else?
Pete Rose.
John?
I have no respect for the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
I don't think it's I don't know. They're I mean, look who just got in.
What sticks in my mind, because we just mentioned him, or I just mentioned him, if you look strictly at his statistics, Curt Schilling.
I agree. Kurt Schilling belongs in there for his playoff performance as well as his regular season. The regular season you can look at and say it's a good career, not great, but what he did in the playoffs. No, what he did in the playoffs
not only
was.
that, didn't he win? Is it possible that he won like 260 games?
I can't look it up on my phone because my phone is in with you, John, so I don't know off the top of my head. Anthony's going to look it up real quick. But I know he won over 200 games, but I don't know about 260.
He was a good pitcher, man.
Yeah, he was good.
Tough. Yeah.
I mean, you tell me the next guy who's going to win 260 games in the major leagues.
No, they don't win anymore. That's why I don't believe that starting wins for starting pitchers is that big. It's team wins.
But the point is, should he be kept out because he says controversial statements?
I don't think so.
It's performance on the field, not what you did off the field. That's why my issue with Pete Rose is the way it is.
Yeah, but I showed you how you were wrong. He bet as a playing manager, so he was playing still. You can't use that he did as a manager. It's not true. But
you know what? Based on that, right now, then Major League Baseball should not be making any deals with these gambling operations like DraftKings.
I get it. That is a problem for them. But
once they do that, tell me how you can keep Pete Rose. If you show me that Pete Rose bet against his team, then I'll agree with you.
So somebody wrote an article, and I don't have the name of the person off the top of my head, but the article, what they wrote was there were 6 games that he showed that Pete Rose made a decision that went against the team winning. Now, why did he do that, right? He may not have the game. He may not have bet against his team, but let's say he didn't bet that day, or even if he bet for his team. But the reason they do this is if the syndicate, right, if the mob tells him to lose this game, that's the reason they don't want gambling in baseball, right? You fall in with the mob because you lose too much money and you're doing it illegally. Now you get told you got to lose the game. So you can still bet on the game to win and not care, but you lost the game on purpose. And there were 6 games that he put this really bad pitcher in. I don't really agree with that because sometimes you got to play your whole bench, right? But there was an article about that.
Well, I'll tell you this. I mean, if you just look at the statistics for New York State, when sports gambling went legal in the state, and $1.5 billion maybe was bet in 1 month, you're going to have some major problems coming up in sports.
This is going to be revisited because of gambling and being allowed in baseball now. Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson, they will be. I think it's going to come up again. I firmly stand by not allowing them in the Hall of Fame. I think their records belong in the Hall of Fame, but not them. But now that you're allowing gambling, it's really going to be a difficult job to keep them out.
There's going to be, I predict, in the next 5 years, there's going to be a gambling situation that's going to embarrass one of these sports.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to give you my prediction, my person that I think belongs in the Hall of Fame, Fred McGriff. I don't know why that guy's not in the Hall of Fame. Don't get it.
Kurt Schilling won 216 games.
Right. I didn't think it was 260.
Right.
I knew there was a 6 in there somewhere.
He had 216 and he 146 losses.
Yeah, but he in the playoffs he was drop dead great.
He
was
strikeouts.
He was a beast.
Yeah, I think he belongs in there. But what do you think? What do you think of Fred McGriff?
In all likelihood, you're not going to see another pitcher win 200 games for the rest of our lives.
Once again, when you pitch 5-6 innings, it's almost you lose a lot of wins that you would have gotten on your personal record. But again, as long as your team wins, it shouldn't matter. But what do you think of Fred McGriff?
And this gets to something that we didn't discuss with the lockout, and that is, it looks like there's a set of owners that want to cut back the schedule to like 130 or 40 games.
And have more playoff games.
Yeah, add playoff games. And once again, that's such a short-sighted thing because then it throws out the history of baseball statistics.
Listen, they got to be thrown out anyway, John.
Statistics are one of the things that made that sport as popular as it was because there's no other sport out there. You can't tell me the number of who had the most goals in their career in hockey. You can't tell me what that number is. You could tell me for years. Babe Ruth was at 714. Hank Aaron was at 755. What were the big numbers in baseball? Everybody knew Lou Gehrig played 2,130 games consecutively. Joe DiMaggio had a 56-game hitting streak. Babe Ruth had 60 home runs. Roger Maris had 61. All those statistics get obliterated if you start playing around with a 130-game season.
I agree.
And that's something that's very important to that sport.
All right. I'm going to try and bring it back one more time. Fred McGriff, what do you think of him?
He had 400 home runs, right? Listen, if you give me Fred McGriff, I think somebody like Carlos Delgado gets close, although he was tied in with steroids.
So then to me, you don't get it. But Fred McGriff wasn't. Fred McGriff would hit over 300 with 30 home runs a year. To me,
Yeah.
And he was on winning teams. So to me, he belongs in the Hall of Fame. Anyway, that's that. I thank you very much for calling in, John. We're at 46 minutes now. And Anthony, thanks you coming from New Jersey. I appreciate it. I want to thank everyone for listening and say your final goodbyes.
Thank you for having me, Phil.
Yep, thank you. It was a pleasure being on it.
Okay, take care, everyone.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.